Physics channel. I'm Steve, and in today's video we're going to be looking at a block sliding down a frictionless plane. So in this case, we want to find the acceleration and the normal force of this 3 kilogram block sliding down a 42-degree incline. Why don't you go ahead, pause the video, try and solve it, but when you're ready, I'll show you how I did. Welcome back. Hopefully that wasn't too bad. First thing I did when I tried to solve this was to write down all of the given values that I know. So in this case, I know the mass of the block. I assume we're on Earth, so there's the acceleration due to gravity. And we know the angle, we know it's frictionless. We assume that the block is going to slide down the inclined plane. And we want to find the normal force and the acceleration. Next, I drew a force diagram, and as you'll find when you're solving most problems that deal with a block or any sort of object on an incline, what we want to end up doing is turning the axes so that way the normal force is going straight up and down and gravity is going down at an angle. In this way, it makes it much more clear to whoever's solving it that it's gravity that's actually pulling down the block as opposed to the normal force that is pulling down the block. So now that we have a force diagram with the normal force straight up and gravity at an angle with the 42 degrees, now we just need to figure out the components of gravity and figure out which of those components is actually pulling the block down and which one is actually going to be causing the normal force. And then when we draw out the new triangle, it's much more clear to see that the cosine of the angle is actually going to be equal to the normal force component, and the sine of the angle is going to be involved in what is actually pulling the block down to the ground. First, I went about trying to solve the acceleration. And to do that, we want to find what the component of the gravity is that's pulling the block down, which we now know is the sine, and we just plug that in for mg sine of theta to find the force. And when we plug in what we know, we find that the component of gravity that is pulling the block down is equal to 19.67 newtons. Now we can use that in Newton's second law, force is equal to mass times acceleration, to figure out what the acceleration is. We plug in what we know, do a little algebra, and we find that the acceleration of the block is 6.56 meters per second squared. And we know that sounds right because intuitively we know that the block should slide down the inclined plane slower than if we were to just drop it and have it fall in free fall. In free fall, we know is 9.8 meters per second squared. This 6.56 is less than that, so this makes sense. Next, they're asking for the normal force, and to do that, it's actually pretty easy. We know it should just be the new x component of force of gravity, which we can solve by doing mg cosine theta, and we have all those numbers. We just plug them in, and we can solve for the normal force, which is equal to 21.85 newtons. Hopefully that wasn't too bad. If you do have questions, please leave them down in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. If you liked this video and it helped, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more content just like it. And until next time, have a great day.